Yeah, welcome back to Career Build Series, episode 146. And so I thought I'd do something a little bit different, bring in an old build that I just did a quick little update on. They changed the way cameras worked, and so every time they make a change, of course, they're gonna, potentially screw up some builds. So they made it so that you can't have the cameras as close to monitors anymore for HUDs. So I had to move it on a bunch of old builds. So I'll be updating this. So I thought I'd go back to my Rotodyne and fly a container from Spycakes up to the Arctic. And so, a bunch of people have been asking, why don't I make katydid, a turbine, and all these other things? And the short answer is profit. It's not, katydid is supposed to be a small diesel helicopter. That's its purpose. So I wouldn't put a turbine in there, but turbines certainly have their place. In order to make a turbine efficient, you need to do enough work to justify it. And so we have more than enough money to kind of play with the Rotodyne, and this really shines at moving containers long distances. So if we kind of look in here, has a lot of seats. This is all set up for the Stormlink mod, which I might add to the Career Build Series at some point. That's a great mod where you can move passengers around. This is very profitable with Stormlink because, as you can see, it holds, I think, 50 something people. Let me look at the seats. They're numbered, so 48 passengers. Holds 50 total. And so let's go ahead and let's get this going. So let's grab the module. So I want this, the Rotodyne container carriage. And so as you can see, it pops into place. We're going to go ahead and paste it, spawn it. You'll notice it's gonna turn sideways. That's because of the wind and the XML. The wheels are not XML edited. There's an access port in there. I think I'm all set. So let's go ahead and jump in here and let's get going. And let's see if I can remember how to run it. This is the first time I've run it in a while. So we're going to go Master Power Avionics. So I had to fix the HUDs, like I was saying. The cameras were screwed up because of what they did. So cabin lights. I'll do some more lights later. Okay, good. Let's do port generator, starboard generator, port battery, starboard battery. All right, that's good. Let's go ahead and start those functions. We'll start our port turbine. Once I get the turbines up and running, we'll be able to. I'll have some yaw authority. This is just Stormworks and lack of grip. The wind's coming. You see the streamers. The craft is trying to put itself into the wind, is what it's doing. All right. So once the port turbine is up and spinning, go ahead and do the starboard turbine. You can see it starts up the propellers. So Rotodyne's a really cool vehicle. Kind of go over the history of what I remember about it in a second. Let's start the other turbine here. So kind of on the topic of turbines, you really have to if you want to make profit, you need to kind of do some big money making economical things, and you need to set them up properly. They will burn a lot of fuel, and that's like turbines in real life. They burn a lot of fuel. Let me see. I'm trying to remember how to connect this. There we go. That's pretty good. I remember that. And so the real Rotodyne, it actually used bleed air. So bleed air is essentially you take air off of the compressor section where the air is compressed, and it would go out of the tips of the rotor, and it was essentially like a gyrocopter but with a jet-powered rotor. This actually has a shaft-driven rotor, which the Rotodyne, that was one of its problems, is it really did need to have a shaft-driven rotor to make it viable, and it didn't have it, so that kind of didn't work for it. Okay, so I want to do, I don't think I need max available RPM to turn off, so let's go through the cockpit and the gauges. So we have waypoint, heading hold, altitude hold. This is the AP master, and then this should look familiar. This was, I think, the original bearing bearing navigation system, artificial horizon compass, gear indicator. So green will tell you each wheel will show green. That's actually based off its real position. So that's how it's done in real life, is each of your gear will show green if it's down and locked. In the game, if I actually don't get a down and locked situation, it will show me in transit, and that tells me something's wrong with that gear just in real life. So it'll go green, amber's in transit, red is up and stowed. That's going to be gear selector. I can't do it on the ground anyways. Brake pressure, if I... Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. If I press down on the down arrow, that's my brakes. It's showing me applying brake. Port battery delta, we're currently discharging. These are the functions for whatever I have hooked to the bottom. So I have a bunch of modules. These are all my functions for that. So, like in real aircraft, I have this segregated into systems. So we have electrical, mostly on this side. So battery deltas, generators, batteries, the battery actual amounts. Come in here, we have inland turbine temperature. That's our temperature. They're kind of faked to be like what the temps would be in real life. Our two starters, often they're arrows like this, they'll be pointing to what engine they're starting. Turbine RPM, master power avionics master. Here we have wing fuel, fuselage fuel, and total fuel. So we have 8,780 gallons. We're currently burning 1,900 gallons per hour. So let's put that in perspective here. All right, this is why you have to be careful with a turbine, and why when people like, oh, make katydid a turbine, the short answer is going to be no. It's, you know, katydid cannot do enough work to justify that cost. I'm trying to find a good buy place. That's a sell. I think the refinery sells a reasonable price of jet fuel. So I can buy it for $1.40. All right, so that's 1,900 gallons. So let's do a quick calc. All right, so 1,900 gallons. That's 7,192 liters. Okay, so that's going to be, you know, we're talking about over $10,000 an hour just sitting here on the ground. Okay, so I mean, it's going to be worse in the air. And so that's why you have to build these things right. You have to tune them right to get them to actually make you profit in game. Going over here, we have gallon per hour. Again, max range. It's going to tell us how many nautical miles. Fuel time to empty. How many minutes till we've exhausted our fuel. So we could actually sit here for 269 minutes. Max available RPM will actually increase our RPS more. Give us more rotor torque. Ground idle will let us sit on the ground and reduce our fuel burn. Rotor RPM, and then these are going to be just indicators. So it's set up for more of a primitive cockpit despite the HUDs, because this was a 1950s helicopter. So I'm just going to take off here, and I'm going to show you the gear. Gear retraction's pretty good on this. So let's go 220 on the heading hold. I need to put on the gyro. Gyro's not on. That will help. And then what do I want? Let's go up to, I don't want to go up that high yet, so let's go 200 feet. Alright, now and then I'll show you the gear. I'll show you twice. So, we have gear selector, so if I click the gear, you'll hear them unlock. They're in transit. You'll notice that they are going in different rates. Did they screw up my gear? It's possible, that my gear got screwed up with something that happened here. So something could have screwed up my gear. One of the updates they did, so I might have to fix the gear. But anyways, that's what you want. It will show you it's in transit, stuck in transit. Put it down. You can see the gear coming back down and locked. And then we'll go up again here. See if I can't force them up. Okay, it's not going to go up on that one. It's stuck on something, so that's another thing I have to fix. Again, every time they make a change, you can see a fellow helicopter is in the drink over there. Every time they make a change, they potentially, you know, can break something, so you have to go back. You know, if you see somebody with an old build in the workshop, before complaining about it, send them a message. Let them know that something's broken. often this is the reason is something changed and they just don't know about it. And if it was something built like a year ago, that person might want to fix it if they knew about it, but they just don't know about it. All right, so I certainly appreciate when people tell me that something is not working. All right, so I'm going to go and we're just going to head over here to Spycakes. The wind is up. Let's check the wind while we're here. I should do a weather report. Nah, it's not bad, 20. I'm trying to remember my controls here. I have to kind of... Okay, let's do logo lights. Let's do beacon, nav light, strobes. And I'll kind of just show you my lights here. And then I have an APU as well. I didn't bother turning on the APU. So let's go prop pitch, I think. Yeah, 1 is going to do prop pitch. So this sucker is fast. This is designed to be a passenger transport, high speed. You need the speed to be able to make this efficient, you know, frankly. So, you know, I'd love to get some mods in the career build series. I just kind of want to get the game going before I put too many in, or I might even do, like, split it up and do a modded, you know, do a modded section and add it as a certain day of the week or something. So let's go ahead, and I need to pull off my altitude hold, put a 0 in there, and I'll head down. So I need to land anyways, and I need to figure out what container I want. So that's actually my containers from earlier. And so, again, I build all my stuff so you can do it in first person, very purposefully, so that's why you can use the monitor to figure it out. So we're going to grab a container. We're going to go up to the Arctic. Now, we probably won't go max speed. I will go max speed for... Oh, whoa, whoa. The gear's not down. Oh, the gear automatically put itself down. I was wondering why the gear was going down. Gear put itself down because... I set it up so that it automatically puts itself down, which I normally don't do. Let's go ahead and go to ground idle. So ground idle, as you can see, it's going to reduce the RPM. That's going to save us fuel. We're at 1,900 gallons per hour. That's just jittery. That's fine, but it's we're burning a lot less now. Oh, I hit the home key instead of hitting the right key. So we're going to need to be very careful about not walking into the propellers. The propellers are moving very fast, so... I'm going to find our most profitable BVG container. This will actually be our first trip to BVG in the career build series. Hopefully it has one. Now that I'm saying we're going to BVG, it's going to just not find one. There's 11,000, not worth anything. Alright, looks like, nope, this one's not worth a ton of money, but it's not bad. So 23,000, that's our one. So blue spam. Alright, I need to XML edit these wheels. I don't even know if it's possible on these wheels for grip. They're just not gripped realistically. Oh, come on. Max available RPM, max available RPM. Okay, I had to do that quickly because you could see that we were running into problems here. So if I don't have either of those highlighted, that gives me standard RPM. Max available RPM is going to be for... you know, say I'm taking a container, I want to go fast, I'm going to need all my RPM. So what I'm going to do here is to make my life easy, I'm going to get a heading set in the heading hold. So I want about 122, 123, let's do no altitude hold, 122. Okay, and so I'm going to manually go over this container, and so I'm using this, there's a hole in the container carriage. You see the module, there's actually a hole there that I can look through. So let me get up and get above it. And I can actually lower the carriage itself, which is what I'm going to probably end up doing here. This would really benefit from station holds. So let's go. That drops down. Let's go up a little bit, and then I think it's this one. That one lowers it. Okay, so I'm going to actually lower the it down. I want to. What's my current altitude? Let's do 53. Where's altitude? 53. Trying not to. Oof. I'm not trying not to hit anything, but I'm struggling here. This is all right. I'm gonna fix this in a second here. Okay, so that's detached now. Let me get this. Is it detached? It is detached. Okay. So we are fighting a wind here too. So I need to. We had the prop pitch set in just a little bit, or I did. Okay, so what I want to do here is, where is lights? The lights were supposed to, there's lights. Okay, I did put the lights on a separate controller. So what I want to do is I want to look for the center of the container. So I kind of see the cross beam. There's a cross member on there. It's probably tough for you to see. You see the cross, the blue cross? So let me go 125. Okay, I need to change my altitude too. I'm going to do this all with the autopilot just so you can kind of see. It's going to make it easier so I can kind of talk. Alright, so I want to move this, translate this to the left and right, and now I want to come forward just a hair. And as you can see, we're kind of right over the cross, and so what I'm going to do is that will allow me to connect to it when it gets close. And I'm just going to kind of wiggle it and get it close. There it is, it's attached. We're going to go ahead and go up. And you can see here it's picking it up. So let me do the old screenshot here before I forget, and then I don't have one for the video when I need it. Okay. All right. And so we're all set here now. Let's go ahead, and that's going to come up, and sometimes it doesn't want to attach, and so what we want to do when it doesn't want to attach is I just press down. Let's see. I need to have that F7 selected, then it will do it. Okay. Just trying to remember my own build here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's gain some altitude here. Let's go ahead and go up to 1,000 feet. That's actually pretty low for a transit flight. Let's go ahead and set a marker for BVG. We don't want to fart around and take a strange route. We want to head directly there. That's the point of an air vehicle, is the ability to head directly there. So we're going to put the waypoint in. 003. So I have no way to snap to this like some of my new ones. This is supposed to be modeled after a 1950s technology, so I want it manual. So I'm going to turn it manually with my heading hold. So I look at my bearing 2, tells me the bearing, and I use my heading hold. Alright, I'm going to try to remember how to fly this thing. You know, again, this can theoretically take 48 passengers, so this is a good vehicle for that. Alright, so here we go. Let's start advancing the propeller. And if you look at the speed here, so I think 30% prop is going to be my best prop on this. This is my best speed. It sounds like it, yeah. So about 30% prop, which is normal, and then let's go to max available RPM. And I'll show you what max speed looks like on the Rotodyne. I'm going to have to play with the prop a little bit to see exactly where best speed is going to be. So we have some more, maybe not. This one might be a little bit lower. Alright, and then we'll talk about kind of efficiencies with this. So I think maybe 32. I'm trying to remember the number from a long time ago whenever I released this. Alright, so we're carrying a container. Where's my lights? I think F4's lights. F4's lights. Okay, that's off now. Alright, so we're doing 200 knots with a container. Let's look at our fuel. We're burning 6,430 gallons per hour. Okay, let's put that in there. 6,400 and let's say 6,500 gallons. 24,000 liters per hour. Okay, that's pretty insane. All right, time to waypoint's 13 minutes though, so it's about, you know, it's only about a quarter of an hour. So now let's actually go to where we should be. So we're actually going to run efficiently here. Instead of max available RPM, we're going to go to standard RPM. And we're going to go full prop. 100% prop pitch is going to give us the highest efficiency. It's going to slow us down, but remember, we're burning 6,500 gallons per hour. I should have showed you what the time to empty was on that one, but I didn't. Let me set this back up. I'll show you time to empty. Let me set it up. Our fastest speed, our least efficient. I think it does 240 without the container. Let's go max available RPM. All right, and so let's look at where are we at here? Max range. We can go 260 nautical miles. We can actually go a good distance. To put that in perspective, the Arctic is only 45 nautical miles from there. We can still, even with this insane of a fuel burn, we can go for 76 minutes. All right, we're burning 6,400 gallons per hour. Let's go ahead and let's do max efficiency now. And so this is actually where you should be most of the time. And as I talked about in one of the Cormorant videos, you don't lose all that much speed as a amount of percentage. So we're doing about 205, let's say. Let's see what our speed is here. So we're down to less than a third of the fuel burn. All right, it's coming right about to a third of the fuel burn. We didn't lose 2/3 of our speed though. We lost 2/3 of our fuel burn, but we only lost 1/3 of our, let's see how much of our speed we lost. We lost about 60, let's say 65 knots out of 200 knots. So we're talking, we lost 1/3 of our speed. Actually less than that, but let's say we lost 1/3 of our speed and we gained 2/3 in fuel efficiency. All right, so that's what prop pitch is all about, is by bringing your prop pitch, increasing your pitch, you're greatly increasing the amount of work the engines can do. You do slow down your RPM, which slows your overall speed down, but you know, we lost 1/3 of our speed and we gained 2/3 in fuel efficiency. So now we're only burning 2,200 gallons per hour. We now have a range of 514 nautical miles, or that would be 5 round trips to the Arctic. And we have 219 minutes of fuel on board. And that was with me, you know, I should have sat on ground idle on the ground. I should have get up and get moving. You notice that, you know, if you've flown in the airline on an airliner, often we would taxi out on one engine. And the reason we taxi out on one engine was to save fuel. And then as soon as they would tell us 2 minutes usually prior to takeoff that we're next in line for takeoff, and then we would fire the engine up. We needed a minute to get the engine up and running. And then once the engine was up and running for a minute, we could go. And so that was all for fuel savings. You know, when you're using a jet turbine, you want to be at high altitude, you want to be going fast. That's when they're most efficient. Other than that, you're wasting a ton of fuel. You know, something like the Katydid, which is designed to loiter on station, you know, I would be burning, you know, I wouldn't have those props in, right? I would be burning about 6,000 gallons per hour sitting over a rescue. If that rescue took me 10 minutes, you know, that's about 1,000 gallons of diesel. Sorry, 1,000 gallons of jet fuel. That's $1,400 I burn to do a 10-minute rescue. And that's just sitting over the rescue. Let's say the whole rescue takes 10 minutes, that's $1,400. Katydid's burning like $100 at most. You know, less than $100. The whole tank to fill Katydid cost me $100. And I burned maybe 1/3 to half a tank doing a rescue. Even if I burned a whole tank on Katydid, that would cost me $100 to do the entire rescue on Katydid. This one, a 10-minute rescue, could easily cost me $1,400. Easily. And that's like, if I'm super fast and I can do the rescue in 10 minutes and go park it in 10 minutes, that's what that cost me. So it's much more efficient to have a diesel if you're doing those sorts of rescues. You know, these turbine craft do have their purposes. Now, some people probably, you know, might be saying, hey, you know, my vehicles are super duper efficient. I have, you know, and I go, yeah, but mine, you know, and that's fine. You know, again, it's a game, do whatever you want, but I like to build my stuff to be realistic. So my turbines are set up like real turbines. I have an N1 section, I have an N2 section, I have a turbine, I have, you know, a gearbox because this is a turbo shaft. I set it up to be realistic to real life. And so because of that, I can't, you know, I'm not doing, like some people showed you could loop a turbine. Of course that's unrealistic. Well, I'm not going to do it, you know, that's, you know, especially that's what my degree is, and I'm not going to do some crazy stuff like that. It just kind of, it weirds me out, you know, frankly. I like to do things more realistically, and so my turbines are set up like realistic turbines. And I don't want to make an unrealistic fantasy build. There's nothing wrong with them, but I don't. So I'm you know, I could change the weather. I could get us out of this fog. I know it's probably not all that interesting to look at the fog, but I'm going to keep us in the fog. I'm rarely in the fog, and I kind of miss it. I miss the instrument flying, and one of the things is I'm going to try to do my best not to look at the map at all the way up to the Arctic, and I'm going to use my regular navigation system. Now, I'm purposefully going off course. I have a heading of 4, and the reason I'm doing that, even though this says 2, the reason I'm doing this is there's an artifact that if you're heading straight north, the way that the system is set up for the bank and the turn, it tries to decide what side the autopilot wants to turn on. If you're heading directly north, the craft will kind of dart left, right, left, right, left, right. So I'm kind of just purposely going off a little bit, and then I'll correct on the other side. So now, you know, we're going to the north-northeast of the course. And then as this number changes more, I will actually go to the northwest of the course and kind of correct back onto the course. But I'm doing this one all in the clouds just to kind of show you, what it's like being in the pea soup the whole time. We're not at a high altitude. We're only at 1,000 feet. I would want to get much, much higher if I was in real life, and I might do that. So let's look at let's actually do this.
We'll go back to Career Build Series.
That's a video trying to start up.
So what we're trying to do is
let me
this
stop that.
more really whooped into shape. I'm also considering doing
It's not letting me.
some more work on that single engine, the single outboard rescue boat as well. So kind of thinking of that as well. So let's go ahead. That's one of my videos finishing that has to interrupt me. Yeah, I have to set them up to process, and then they love to come up when I'm trying to do another video, so. Let's go ahead and let's look at our navigation. Let's go back to what we were doing. So that's just pointing, the needle points directly to the station. As you can see, it's pointing straight up, going straight towards it. We're only about 10 minutes away from the Arctic. We haven't been at it for very long, but we're going 140 knots. Now, we are slower than the Cormorant, but we're taking a container. We could take 48 passengers with this container. So that's, you know, it seems like, you know, it's not that fast. But again, if you can do a lot of work, you know, like the T800. T800 is very slow compared to this, but it hauls enormous amounts of oil. You know, so going at 140 knots, we're not going, you know, if the distances in Stormworks are 500 nautical miles, there's a helicopter right there. Traffic, 1 o'clock. Actually, that's about 11 o'clock. 1 o'clock's here. I was already looking at it when I said 1 o'clock. You see how the number changed? That's because I'm purposely going off course. That's going to keep dropping. Eventually, that will go 360, 359, and then I'll go on the other side of the course. All right, so we're about 9.5 minutes out. 22 nautical miles, so we're about halfway to the Arctic. Arctic's about 45 nautical miles from Spycakes to there. So, again, I'm going to stay in the soup. I'm going to stay in the clouds here, in the fog, just to kind of show you how, you know, using a simple navigation system, how you can, you know, operate completely by instruments. You know, I have an instrument rating. You know, we used to have to wear a hood where it completely covered it covered the part of your vision that could see out the window, so all you could see was your gauges. And then if we're in the simulator, you know, they just sock in wind in weather like this, so you couldn't see anything. They make the visibility 0, and then you know, there are various instrument approaches to let you so you can actually get down and accurately land. All right, so this is let's look at the Rotodyne a little bit here. Really cool craft. You know, the 50s. I really like the 50s as an era for really cool, especially aircraft design. You know, it was post World War II. There's a lot of really cool aircraft. They didn't know all that much. They were trying a ton of stuff. So it's the Ferry Rotodyne, and as you can see. This is what I base mine off of. It's inspired by. It's not, you know, it's not the same thing. You know, mine has a little bit more of a modern cockpit. It's bigger. You know, the seating arrangement's actually the same, but in Stormworks, can't cram people in as tightly as this could. So what you had is you had 2 turbine engines here. You had you know, port and starboard, and then you had bleed air. So you essentially tap air off of the compressor section. It goes up through the wings, and it would go up, and you see these little things that look like missiles. Well, the hot bleed air would go down here, and then it would actually be combusted with fuel, and it would shoot out of these nozzles. So one of the things they did in the 50s was they did not care about anyone's hearing at all. And so this was insanely loud, and the whole purpose of this aircraft was to be able to fly into cities and towns and deliver people directly to that area. And, you know, this thing was, you know, was ear piercing. Everybody would be deaf. And so they did a lot of that in the 50s. There was a cool, it was like this will be us in the future video. And it was talking about how it had the husband, you know, all dressed up in a suit and his hat. And he was flying in a little helicopter with his head about 3 inches under the rotor blades. And he came in about 5 feet over his wife. And there was a tiny little basket on the outside of the helicopter, and it had some milk in it, and she just goes out and is reaching in there and trying to have a conversation with him, and it's like being in a hurricane, and she's pretending to have a conversation with him. Well, there's no way you could ever hear if it was that loud. So you know, it's just hilarious that the kind of things they thought, you know, we'd have back then. But a pretty cool airplane. So mine is shaft drive, so you just have shafts essentially coming off of the 2 engines operating the rotors. And there's just some more pictures. That's the only part of it left. I think the rest of it got destroyed. But it was a cool little strange, you know, 1950s design, but really pretty cool. Capacity 40 to 48 passengers. That's why I have that. And the size is pretty cool, pretty close. I just couldn't get it exactly. Let me see if I can't find that commercial. We have a little time to kill here getting up there. We are 5.5 minutes out. So I kind of wanted us in the soup here just because, like, you kind of see it messes up your perception of how long things take to get places. I'm gonna look for this video. I'm not going to play the video. I will probably link it if I can find it. Might be tough to find. Yeah, I can't find it right now. If I find it later, I'll link it. But the it was just, you know, there was a lot of absurdity back then. Is, you know, they thought everything was going to be nuclear powered. They thought you'd have nuclear planes and you have nuclear powered home. You know, it's just, you know, just all the new technologies from the kind of the technological boom from World War II, and they just thought that, you know, we're going to have all of it at home, and it was kind of not the way it was going to be. So let's kind of take a quick little tour back in the aircraft here. As you can see, 48 seats, clamshell doors. They're set up so I can't open the doors while we're moving, which is smart. We have a main door with ramp. You know, it had that ramp you saw in the picture. And then, not much else to this. These are faux collectives. They move up and down with your collective. So that's kind of just a little cool little feature. As you can see, we are perfectly charging our batteries now. That's because, you know, we're up and running and our turbines are spun up. So you can see we still have 200 miles of endurance, and we're going to be there in, you know, about 3 minutes. So it's definitely, you know, you can make this efficient. So let's say this is a 20-minute trip. So let's say that I can do this in, let's say I can do the whole thing in 30 minutes. I'm going to burn, say, average 2,200 gallons per hour. So let's say that's 1,100 gallons to do one trip to the Arctic. So you're talking, what would that be? That would be 1,400 and then another 140, so 1,540. So that's $1,540 we're going to make 23,000 on this container. So this is profitable. Me going and doing a rescue where I put out a fire, that's 3 grand. Rescue, even if I rescued 8 people, you know, I need something like that to make it worthwhile. If I have a go repair boat, $2,000, and I go down on the rope and I come up on the rope and it takes me 10 minutes, even if it's just 10 minutes, you know, what's that? That's 1/6 of the fuel burn. So let me 2,200, 300. Yeah, so we're talking about 900 something. So we're making profit, but not a lot of profit. And it's very easy for us to lose all that profit. Okay, we need to start. What I'm going to do is start to increase the prop pitch. That will speed us up. We want high RPM. Remember, we want that power going to our rotor blades. We have to be careful of this. All right, and as we get really close, I'm going to start to bring that all the way back to 0. You can start to just barely see the ground there. All right, so 340 is my new heading. As we get closer, we're going to need more of a heading change. That's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to do 335. I'm going to anticipate it. And remember, I was purposefully off course, so now I need to correct. So as you can see, I guessed 335, 336. I was within 1 degree of where we needed to be. So not too bad. Okay, and I'm just going to use the 2 key to slowly reduce that to 0 once this number gets close. That will tell us when we're in half a mile. We're still about a mile and a half away. And I'm not going to descend because I can't see anything. BVG is pretty much in the clear, but again, I can't see anything. I know that BVG is clear. The smart thing to do, here comes our waypoint. Nah, is that not working now? Maybe it's not working. 337. We're still good on that heading. That should be fine. 338. This is going to go faster and faster the closer and closer we get. All right, so I'm starting to pull it back here. We're slowing down. There we go. We got have our light going here. Okay, that was right. Okay. Okay, we actually passed it. Let me stop us. Okay, so we're going to go to 0. Let's go ahead and turn to 342. 342. Okay, and you see it's flipping around. The reason it's flipping around is we're very close to the waypoint. So we're going to start coming down here. Let's go down to 250. I know that there's really nothing underneath us. And so this is kind of just an instrument approach. As you can see, I can't see anything, but I'm using my instruments, and as long as I follow my instruments, we'll be fine and we'll get there. So 342, we're still good. And we're going to let this descend us. We're coming through 600 feet. Start to see there's an iceberg over there. And the reason I'm doing a vertical descent here right above BVG is I'm not sure what's around us. And so I want to be very careful here. And so I'm going to visually kind of look around, see where we're at here. And let's look. So we should hopefully be right over BVG. Let me kind of do us a turn here. What is that? Okay, that's my AOA gauge. Let me look. I'm just going to go ahead and cheat a little bit here. So I'm over a... Let me see how many nautical miles I'm away. So I'm 0.39 nautical miles, so I'm a little bit away. So 342 is good. Start adding some prop back in. I think it's straight ahead right in front of us. This is how bad the weather is. So we have a bridge going to BVG there. It should be probably right in front of us here. So you can see we're still about 1/3 of a mile away. There it is right there. Okay, so we're very close. That's why I wanted to go down slowly, as I knew BVG didn't have any obstacles, but I was not sure about the rest of the area. All right, so I'm just using my prop to slowly come forward here. Let's go ahead and go down to 100 feet. And I'm going to add a little prop again to go forwards. And I'm just going to find a nice place to kind of sit this down. Let's go ahead and zero our prop out here. Okay, so I want to go over here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in a... what I'm going to do is take the heading hold. I'm going to go 0 it. That will get rid of it. I'm going to go ahead and turn.
And I'm going to put it in here at slot 5. You can see slot 5 there. And so let me find a heading. I want my heading hold to hold it for me. So about 267? 267 is good heading hold. I don't need to use the autopilot, but especially with the weather like this, an autopilot should be used as a workload reduction tool. That's the main reason why we have them IRL, is workload reduction. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to release the carriage and start lowering it down. We'll lower it down via cable. We'll go ahead and turn the lights on. And you can kind of see me lowering this down here. So let's go ahead and grab a snap off this here for the video. And so that's a good little picture there, kind of illustrating what we did this episode. A little something different there. I need to kill that in video noise so it doesn't make it. It's kind of annoying. It's an annoying noise that I have to deal with. So as you can see, this is going to lower down. And then now I can see more of the area because it's further away from me. Let me actually go about, let's go 4 degrees to the right. So 271. Alright, and now I'm just going to manually start, actually, I'll autopilot us down. Let's go down, let's go to 80 feet. Let's go 20 feet down. And I should be able to see slack on the lines when that touches. Still need to go down more. Let's do 65 feet. And now I have slack on my lines. Go ahead and we're going to release it. And we'll go ahead and bring it up. And so all this can be done from the cockpit. So I let out a ton of line. These have, what do they have? Yeah, those have the mediums on them, so they actually hold pretty well. But as you can see, you could do pretty good mission on this. Hopefully that is reeling those in. I think it is. I think it's just taken a little while to do it. All right, so we're getting pretty good on time here. You know, if this is profitable. It's I could do this a lot faster if I didn't kind of talk through it and just quickly connected and ran over, grabbed a container. This is something that is actually pretty quick and profitable to do. So we'll quickly fly over to Tajin and put this away. And then this will snap and attaches, and we actually kind of show you. See, there's a hole in there. That's where our camera is. So that's how we're looking through it. And then I have a couple modules for this. I have firefighting. Let's go ahead and go to Tajin. And so we want to go right here. All right, let's go ahead and go up to, we're going to go 200 feet. I don't want to risk anything trying to hit anything. So let's go ahead and put the waypoint in. Let's go ahead to go 065, 065. Turn to that. We'll start to add some prop in here. Okay. It is heading hold, altitude hold. I put in the wrong altitude hold. I put the wrong one in and almost killed us. So that is dangerous. I put in the heading I wanted into the altitude. That's very dangerous. That's why instrument flying, you have to really be careful on that. That's how you get killed, is making little mistakes like that. So 074, the closer you are to this, the more you're going to have to change it. So 75, 75 again. Need to double check. It's one of the reasons why, especially in the airlines, you have multiple pilots, is to be a check on one another to make sure you're not doing anything that's gonna get yourself killed or get somebody else killed. Now let's start moving here. I slowed us all the way down when we were having that issue where we were almost crashing. And it has a pitch down tendency because the props are actually a little bit higher than the center of gravity, and so that was why I was pitching us down a little bit. So that's something you have to really worry about. For example, if you have an airliner where the engines are under the wing, when you add throttle, it's going to try to push the nose up, so you actually have to counteract it. The airliner I flew had them on the tail, and it was a much less effect because just the dynamics of the airplane, but you could have a little bit of a push down on the nose, but it was minimal because they were all the way out in the tail.
and they were closer to the center of gravity. All right, let's pay attention here. 0.2873, there's our, coming up on Tajin right here. We'll start to slow us down. I can see the airport. There's the runway. There's the hangar. All right, so I'm going to slow us down about 30. Let's stay around 20 knots. So when I get down in this really low prop pitch range, as you can see, I can really precisely control my speed, but I'm burning a good bit of fuel. So that's why you kind of need to be careful with this. I should have checked what our fuel total was when we started. I can actually recall it and see when I put it away. And I can tell you exactly how much profit we made on this mission, which will be good to do. Okay, so that's zeroed out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start zeroing everything out. I'm going to manually land. I don't want to autopilot land. I want to manually land it. All right, and I'll go ahead. I'm going to put in a little bit of yaw trim there. So what's actually doing our yaw is the two propellers. They will change the pitch of the propellers to actually control the yaw. Okay, are my gear going to come down now? So something's up with my gear. So it looks like something they did in one of these patches broke my gear. That is not good. That is not good. Yeah, they broke my gear with something they did. I literally had no problem with this gear. So again, if you see somebody, especially, you know, if you use somebody's mod or their workshop creation, check the date on it. If it's kind of, you know, if it's been a while, you know, and you see something wrong with it, let them know. You know, and realize they may not want to go back and work on an old mod, on an old build. You know, I probably will fix this up and you know, update it on the workshop because I like this build. But I'm struggling. Like, I can't get those gear down now. I'm trying to land without hitting the props here, so we'll see. I think I might be able to do it, especially because I'm sitting on that container carriage there. Yeah, I can do it, so that's good. But that's a little bit ugly. And so I'm going to check the final. This wasn't connected, so let's connect that up. There we go. So I'll check our final fuel burn, and we'll see how much profit we made on that, because part of this was me talking about how to make profit with a turbine. But yeah, so I'm having gear sticking issues. So there was something. See, this back is supposed to open. It's not opening. Need to check on it. As I was saying in the last video, some of the pivots have been acting pretty funny. Some people were talking about some bugs with the tank tracks, and then Beginner came on and said it's a known bug that they're working on a hot patch. So I'm hoping some of the issues, weird issues I've been having, are going to be fixed in that hot fix. We will see. If not, I'll have to report them and see what's up. Let's see what our total fuel is. Total fuel is 70.29. I'm going to write that down. We'll see how much profit we made on this trip. 70.29. All right, let's recall this into the workbench. So a fun little mission. I'd like to get the Stormlink mod in. I don't know if I'm going to do it on my regular career game. Probably not. I'll probably do a separate one, and then maybe I'll jump into that world as well and do some stuff. But let's go ahead and spawn this back again. This has a couple modules. I'll show you some of the modules. I would say, you know, I put the workshop link, but I'm not going to until I fix it. It's, you know, too much stuff is broken at present for me to do that. So 8891. Let me write that down. 8891. So 8891 minus 7029, that's going to be 1862 gallons. So what's that in liters? That is 1862. That's 7,048. So 7048 times $1 and let's see, 7048 times it was 1.4. That's going to be, we burned $9,867 in fuel. we made 23,000 on that container. I don't think it did it credit us. It might not have even given us the money. We may have made nothing, but you know, I've got plenty of money. I'm not concerned about it. But you know, that kind of puts it in perspective. So you know, we still made about $13,000 in profit. That's when it's worthwhile doing something like this with a turbine. You know, when people are like, "Oh, just put a turbine," and Katie did. You know, this of course has two larger turbines and everything else, but you know, you start to get into a problem where you're gonna, you know, that a turbine's job is to produce a lot of power, small size, have high efficiency, high reliability. Those are the purposes of a turbine, but they burn a lot of fuel, and you know, that's something you have to consider. And so Katy is not suited to have a turbine. Katy that's not what it's for. It's just it has other jobs to do. Let me kind of show you a couple other things. So under here we have our APU door. We have a working diesel APU in there to charge the battery when you're on the ground. Let's go over. I'll show you the service panel on this side. I kind of showed you a little bit before, but service panel opens up on this side. You have refueling, ground power, shows you your fuels and your power. There, a little repair torch. That was one of the. This was part of one of the build challenge, so that was a requirement of it. So this has a couple modules. I'll show you those modules, and then we'll finish up. And then I will at some point edit this. So this has a fire module that goes to the bottom, that drops down a snorkel and fills it up. It's nice and compact, but it holds a reasonable amount of water to put out forest fires. Have a Bambi bucket. There's a big Bambi bucket that gets towed. What else does it have? It has a winch module, so just for winching large things. Kind of sits in the middle, and it has a winch in the middle for winching large cargoes. I started to make one. Let me see if I can find the utility version of it. Have a Rotodyne utility version. Here it is. This is the utility model, which I haven't worked on, but as you can see, it is completely bare in the back, and the purpose of this is for the container to sit all the way up inside of the area, and that you see it holds the same modules. This would also be able to, you know, I could put a larger firefighting module on it, but I haven't touched this in a long time. It was a big pain because all these microcontrollers and stuff. If you look at the regular Rotodyne, all the microcontrollers are on the floor. And so all these microcontrollers had to be moved up to the top. And so it just took a bunch of work to get them up there. And a bunch of the other stuff had to go up. So wasn't necessarily a piece of cake. But yep, that's the Rotodyne. I kind of want to do something different. Kind of want to get after an old build. I enjoyed that one. A little bit something different. I don't know if I made profit on that because I can't remember if we get the message for the container. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a like. And if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. And we'll see you in the next one.